You believe success begins when someone notices you. You believe opportunity starts when someone supports you. You believe influence grows because others decide to lift you. You are wrong. Most people never rise because they are waiting. Waiting for encouragement. Waiting for validation. Waiting for connections. Waiting for someone powerful to approve of them. But power does not begin with approval. It begins with preparation. This is purely noetical. And today, you will understand how to succeed with zero support through the hard realism of Niccolò Machiavelli. You will learn why dependence is silent weakness, why isolation can become strength, why reputation must exist before allies appear, and why real power is built long before anyone claps for you. This content is for education and philosophical understanding. It is not a call to harm or manipulate. It is a study of how power actually works in the real world. Machiavelli wrote The Prince during a time of political chaos. Leaders were betrayed. Alliances shifted. Armies changed sides. Trust was temporary. Survival required clarity. He did not write for people surrounded by comfort. He wrote for people surrounded by danger. And his first lesson is this: if your success depends on the support of others, then your success does not belong to you. Machiavelli warns rulers never to rely on mercenaries or borrowed forces. Why? Because those forces fight for their own interests. The moment their interests change, their loyalty disappears. This is not just about soldiers. It is about structure. If your confidence depends on praise, it can be removed. If your ambition depends on approval, it can be blocked. If your progress depends on someone else's permission, it can be delayed forever. Support that can be withdrawn is not strength. It is a hidden chain. When you have zero support, something uncomfortable happens. You lose excuses. There is no one to blame for delay. No one to carry your weakness. No one to correct your carelessness. No one to motivate you when you feel tired. That pressure forces you into a different path. You must develop ability because there is no backup. If you lack skill, you suffer the consequences directly. So you sharpen your craft. You study more carefully. You observe more closely. You practice when others rest. Skill stops being optional. It becomes survival. You must develop discipline because there is no supervision. No one is watching you. No one is rewarding you for effort. No one is punishing you for laziness. That means your structure must come from within. You wake yourself up. You correct your own mistakes. You push yourself forward when comfort whispers for you to stop. You must develop mental control because discouragement will visit often. Doubt will speak loudly. When you stand alone, small failures feel heavier. Criticism feels sharper. Silence feels longer. If your mind is unstable, isolation will break you. So you learn to steady your thoughts. You learn not to react quickly. You learn to endure discomfort without panic. You must develop patience because progress without support is usually slow. There is no sudden spotlight, no instant recognition. You work without applause. You build without announcement. And patience becomes strength because it allows you to continue when results are not yet visible. All of this creates something powerful. It creates independence. Not loud independence, not prideful independence, but structural independence. The kind that does not collapse when conditions change. This is where Niccolò Machiavelli introduces virtù in The Prince. Virtù does not mean kindness. It does not mean moral perfection. It is not about appearing good. It is about being capable. Virtù is strength of mind. It is boldness in action. It is clear judgment under pressure. It is the courage to move when others hesitate. It is the ability to look at reality without illusion and still act decisively. A person with virtù does not wait for ideal conditions. They understand that conditions are rarely ideal. They calculate, they prepare, they act anyway. Virtù is inner force. It is the capacity to shape events instead of waiting for events to shape you. Most people are shaped by circumstances. They adjust to pressure. They react to difficulty. They complain about unfairness. Their direction changes depending on who supports them. But a person developing virtù becomes different. They ask, what can I control? They ask, how can I prepare? They ask, what skill must I build so that I am not dependent? That mindset slowly shifts power inward. Machiavelli also speaks of fortune. Fortune represents luck, chance, timing, unexpected events. He does not deny its existence. He accepts that life contains unpredictability. Opportunities appear suddenly, crises erupt without warning. Circumstances shift beyond our control, but he insists on something critical. Fortune dominates the unprepared more than the prepared. If you are weak, fortune controls you completely. If you are strong, fortune influences you, but does not command you. When you have zero support, you cannot rely on luck. There is no one to rescue you if chance turns against you. There is no powerful ally to soften the impact of your mistakes. There is no safety net. So you begin reducing your dependence on fortune. You prepare more carefully. You anticipate obstacles. You think ahead. You strengthen yourself before crisis arrives. Instead of hoping the door opens, you learn how to build one. This is not just ambition. It is survival thinking. But this is also where most people fail. They fear being alone. They fear rejection more than failure. Rejection feels personal. It feels like a judgment of worth. So they avoid situations where they might be ignored. They stay where they are accepted, even if growth is limited. They fear silence more than struggle. Silence means no validation, no praise, no reassurance. Many would rather struggle loudly with attention than grow quietly without it. They fear being unseen more than being unskilled. Being unseen hurts the ego. It feels like invisibility. So they chase visibility before competence. They want recognition before readiness. Because belonging feels safe. Belonging provides comfort. It gives emotional warmth. It reduces anxiety. It creates the illusion of protection. But safety often creates softness. When everything feels secure, urgency disappears. When approval is guaranteed, improvement slows. When support is constant, self-reliance weakens. Softness grows in comfort. Machiavelli understood that harsh environments produce sharper leaders. Those who rise without inherited support often understand power more deeply. They have studied it, felt its absence, experienced its cost. Zero support strips away illusion. It forces you to confront your limits. It forces you to strengthen your weaknesses. It forces you to stop waiting. And in that pressure, virtue begins to form. You stop asking who will help you. You start asking how to prepare yourself. You stop waiting for permission. You start creating momentum. You stop fearing isolation. You start using it. That transformation is not loud. It is gradual, quiet, internal. But once it solidifies, something changes. You are no longer desperate for backing. You are no longer fragile without praise. You are no longer dependent on rescue. And that is powerful, because when support finally comes, it will not be the source of your strength. It will be the result of it. When you stand alone, something changes inside you. You begin to think for yourself. You begin to question more deeply. You begin to observe human behavior carefully. You begin to notice how often people act in self-interest. Machiavelli was clear about this. He did not describe humans as angels. He described them as self-protecting, ambitious, and often ungrateful. If you understand this, you stop expecting fairness. Instead of asking, "Why is no one supporting me?" you begin asking, "What value can I build that makes support logical?" That shift changes everything. Support should not be begged for. It should be attracted. Machiavelli teaches that perception shapes power. A leader must appear steady, controlled, capable. Even before they are fully secure, they must show discipline. People follow what feels stable. So if you are alone, focus on visible strength. Improve your skills quietly. Work consistently when no one sees. Develop emotional control. Speak carefully. Act deliberately. Over time, reputation begins to form. Reputation is powerful because it moves ahead of you. It speaks before you enter a room. It creates expectation before you say a word. And once people see strength, they align with it. Even modern discussions about wealth and structure, like those in Capital in the 21st century, show that power grows from accumulated capital. Machiavelli understood this in a different way. He spoke of good arms and good laws. Structure must rest on strength. Without internal power, external structure collapses. Zero support forces you to build internal capital first. When no one is backing you, no one is promoting you, and no one is defending you, the only asset you truly possess is yourself, your mind, your habits, your effort, your judgment. That is where capital begins. Not money, not status, not connections, but capacity. You begin investing in skills because you cannot rely on influence. You sharpen your thinking because confusion will cost you. You practice until your work speaks clearly without needing explanation. Skill becomes your weapon. Not a weapon against people, but a weapon against irrelevance. A weapon against being overlooked. A weapon against being dismissed. When your ability is undeniable, it cuts through doubt. It silences critics without argument. It earns space in rooms where you were once ignored. In The Prince, Niccolò Machiavelli insists that rulers must rely on their own arms. In simple terms, your strength must come from what you control. If your competence belongs to you, no one can withdraw it. Discipline becomes your shield. Discipline protects you from distraction. It protects you from emotional reaction. It protects you from giving up too early. When no one is supporting you, it is easy to become bitter, easy to become careless, easy to lower your standards because no one is watching. But discipline keeps your standards high, even in silence. It ensures that you show up when you do not feel motivated. It ensures that you prepare even when there is no immediate reward. It ensures that you maintain order in your life while others drift. Clarity becomes your guide. Isolation removes noise. Without constant approval or group pressure, you begin to think more independently. You evaluate your direction carefully. You question your motives. You see your weaknesses honestly. Clarity prevents you from chasing distractions simply because they are popular. It keeps you focused on long-term structure instead of short-term attention. And there is another advantage that most people overlook. When you have no supporters, you see people clearly. You see who ignores you when you have nothing to offer them. You see who doubts you when your results are small. You see who only approaches when you begin to improve. You see who aligns with you when you start to win. This information is powerful because it reveals a simple truth. Most alliances are built on interest, not affection. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He observed that loyalty often follows advantage. People move toward what benefits them. They distance themselves from what does not. If you rise slowly and alone, you witness this pattern firsthand. That clarity protects you later, because when support finally comes, you will not be blinded by praise. You will not confuse convenience with loyalty. You will not assume that attention equals commitment. You will understand the structure behind alignment. You will know that people support strength because strength offers stability. They support success because success appears safe. They support winners because winners reduce risk. And instead of resenting this, you will calculate it. Machiavelli would not tell you to complain about isolation. He would not encourage self-pity. He would not comfort you with promises that support will magically appear. He would tell you to use isolation. He would tell you to prepare while others celebrate small victories. To calculate while others relax in comfort. To build foundations while others wait for opportunity. Because preparation creates opportunity. The truth is simple and often uncomfortable. The world does not rush to support potential. It supports proof. Potential is invisible. It is a promise. It is a possibility. But proof is visible. It is measurable. It is undeniable. If you want influence, become competent. If you want allies, become valuable. If you want respect, become disciplined. These are not slogans. They are structural realities. Influence flows toward capability. Allies gather around value. Respect follows consistency. Zero support is not a sign that you are incapable. It is often a test. A test of whether you can work without applause. A test of whether you can improve without encouragement. A test of whether you can stay focused without recognition. Many fail this test because they equate silence with rejection. They assume that if no one is supporting them, they must not be worthy. But Machiavellian realism suggests something different. Silence is neutral. It is what you do during silence that determines your future. Remember this carefully. When you build internal capital first, support becomes optional. And when support becomes optional, it becomes powerful rather than necessary. Because then, if people align with you, they add to your strength. They do not define it. Those who rise with heavy support often appear strong. They have encouragement. They have protection. They have networks speaking on their behalf. They have momentum created by others. From the outside, this looks like power. But look closely. If their confidence depends on praise, what happens when praise stops? If their progress depends on protection, what happens when protection is removed? If their influence depends on association, what happens when that association shifts? Support can accelerate growth, but it can also hide weakness. When everything is provided, pressure is reduced. When pressure is reduced, weaknesses remain untested. When weaknesses remain untested, they remain undeveloped. So when support disappears, and it always can, collapse begins. Because the foundation was external, it was built around them, not within them. But those who rise alone are different. They build slowly. They struggle quietly. They improve without applause. They do not move because they are cheered. They move because they are committed. Their confidence does not depend on validation. It depends on evidence, evidence of hours practiced, mistakes corrected, discipline maintained. Their identity is not attached to approval. It is attached to ability. So when conditions change, they do not fall apart. When praise fades, they continue. When protection disappears, they adapt. When alliances shift, they adjust. Because their foundation is internal. This is what makes self-built strength stable. In the realism of Niccolò Machiavelli, power that rests on others is fragile. Power that rests on your own preparation is durable. In The Prince, the warning is clear. Rely on your own arms. What belongs to you cannot be withdrawn by another. So ask yourself honestly, where are you waiting for validation instead of building skill? Are you delaying improvement because no one has recognized your potential? Are you slowing down because no one has praised your effort? If so, you are tying your growth to other people's attention. Skill does not require applause. It requires repetition. Where are you hoping for encouragement instead of strengthening discipline? Are you waiting to feel motivated before acting? Are you postponing action until someone believes in you? Discipline grows in silence. It grows when you act without emotional support. Encouragement feels good. Discipline builds structure. Where are you blaming isolation instead of using it? Isolation can feel heavy. It can feel unfair. It can feel like rejection. But isolation can also be a training ground. It removes distraction. It removes comparison. It removes dependency. In that space, you can refine yourself without noise. The difference between collapse and stability is simple. If your strength was built through constant support, you may crumble when that support fades. If your strength was built in silence, you will stand even when no one is watching. So examine your foundation. Is it built on approval or ability? On encouragement or endurance? On connection or competence? Because eventually, conditions change. And when they do, only what is built within you remains. If this message sharpened your thinking, subscribe to Purely Noetical. This channel is not about comfort. It is about clarity. Each video adds another layer of understanding about power, strategy, and human behavior. Now think deeply. If all support disappeared tomorrow, would you still be able to move forward? If the answer is no, begin building today. Because in Machiavellian realism, succeeding with zero support is not a disadvantage. It is the training ground for unshakable power.